At least one victim is in critical condition. Here's what one eyewitness told our local affiliate about what she saw.
He searched on YouTube how to make these Molotov cocktails, bought the supplies needed to make them, then went ahead and made them, bought some of the gasoline on his way here. Authorities saying they were clear bottles with gasoline inside. They had a red rag tied to them. And now, of course, you're seeing a lot of support for the victims and for the Jewish community as a whole.
Welcome to the Reaction Radar. The FBI said this attack in Bolden was in the works for a year. Who knew? And why didn't they do anything sooner? Without any further ado, let's jump into this.
And we begin this hour, though, with those new details on what is being investigated as a terror attack targeting a peaceful march in Boulder, Colorado.
Authorities say a man who is now charged with a hate crime used Molotov cocktails to set fire to a group of people marching in support of Israeli hostages being held in Gaza on Sunday. The FBI says witnesses heard the man yelling "Free Palestine" during that attack. 8 people in total were hurt, their ages ranging from 52 to 88 years old. At last update, at least one victim is in critical condition. Here's what one eyewitness told our local affiliate about what she saw.
It was 2 older ladies, just like kind of rolling around a little bit. They were in their underwear because they had like stripped their pants, obviously. And yeah, I was just like, how can I help? And they had like really bad burns all up on their legs.
Authorities have identified the suspect seen here as 45-year-old Mohammed Sabri Salman from Egypt. The Department of Homeland Security says that he was in the U.S. on an expired tourist visa and had a pending asylum claim. President Trump just posted this about the attack, saying, quote, "This is yet another example of why we must keep our borders secure and deport illegal anti-American radicals from our homeland. My heart goes out to the victims of this terrible tragedy."
And I agree with the president. But what do you think so far? Do you think that's okay? You know, with what President Trump said? Do you think that we should have undocumented people in the country? That perfect example. Now, granted, and we know this, not everyone here is a criminal and doing criminal activity. However, what you have to understand is when the Constitution was made, it wasn't made like a menu, right? So unfortunately, we can't pick and choose what we want. Like you can't say, I want this with this, or can I substitute this with that, right? So unfortunately, the Constitution is straight across, right? Now, with that being said, like I said, are they good people and bad people on both sides? Yes. Not everyone wants to harm us, right? But when you have individual extremists like this, you know, what are your thoughts? I would love to hear them. Drop it in the comments.
Unquote.
Leading us off this hour from Boulder, NBC News correspondent Camila Bernal. So, Camila, there has been a lot of moving parts and elements today. We just got brand new court documents that are shedding some more light on this attack. What's the latest?
Hayes and Clay, incredible details in that federal hate crime charging document where authorities say that this man planned this attack for about a year and
wow, for about a year.
Waited for his daughter to graduate before he did all of this. Authorities saying that he particularly targeted this group and said he wanted to kill everyone here, saying that he found them online, found the group, knew what they were doing, and waited for them here.
You know, I'm curious, and again, I want to hear your thoughts on this. I'm real curious to know if and during the trial, if he's going to try to play he's not competent to stand trial. I wonder if that's a thing, because remember, if you make threats that you want to harm yourself or someone else, you could be considered on a different level, like a mental situation, right? That you need medical attention. And I'm wondering if that's the avenue where he's going to go and try to play with this. It's going to be interesting, but what do you guys think so far? Again, drop your comments. You know, I read them. So let me know what you think so far.
In that document also saying that he researched on YouTube how to make these Molotov cocktails, bought the supplies needed to make them, then went ahead and made them, bought some of the gasoline on his way here. Authorities saying they were clear bottles with gasoline inside. They had a red rag tied to them. They found some of the rags inside of his car along with other documents to essentially help them connect the dots. They also say they found 14 additional bottles near where he was yesterday. And they say that he yelled "Free Palestine" in the moment that he threw two of these Molotov cocktails. Authorities in that charging document also saying that he said he would do this all again. Guys.
And Camila, it's also disturbing. What is the latest update on the conditions of the victims?
Yeah, Kate, I mean, it's incredible to learn that at least one of these victims was a Holocaust survivor. We know that it was, of course, 8 people, 4 of them men.
My goodness. Could you imagine being a survivor of not only the Holocaust, let's say you went through in your lifetime, because every walk, every nationality, every race have been through a traumatic situation in their life. But could you imagine being that person that went through a traumatic catastrophe situation in your life, survive that, and to be faced with this? Man, that is...
4 women. We know at least one of them was in critical condition. Officials saying that burn injuries are very difficult because they can get infected. They can essentially become life-threatening. So we do know that some of the injuries were not as...
And another thing you got to think about, they did say that a lot of these folks were elderly and up there in age. You got to remember, as you get up in age and you're elderly, your body stop producing, it stop healing itself as if you were younger. Right? It takes a longer time to heal. So imagine going through a burn situation. Man, this is just a nightmare, a terrifying nightmare.
Serious, but there are some people with serious injuries. We don't have any other updates from those victims, but really the entire community coming together. The people that were here yesterday bringing water, trying to dump it on some of these victims, and of course saying they were trying to do anything they could to help them. And now, of course, you're seeing a lot of support for the victims and for the Jewish community as a whole.
All right, Camila Bernal for us. Camila, thank you.
So what are your thoughts on that? How do you feel about this? Thoughts, please, in the comments. Do you think the FBI is doing enough to monitor domestic extremism? What's the real reason it wasn't stopped earlier? They said he looked this up on YouTube, right? You can't say certain things on YouTube. So I don't understand how they can monitor you with you saying certain things or posting certain things, but when you look certain things up, there's no way to flag it to say, hey, this person's doing that. But see, that's why I said earlier too, it's a very thin line, very, very thin line. Because if you start monitoring stuff that people are doing, now granted, don't get me wrong, hear me out. You have people that are going to look things up, right, just for educational purposes. Then you're going to have extremists like this that are going to look things up to harm people. That's the difference, right? Now, regardless, again, if it's right or wrong, like I said with the Constitution, right, it was straight across. So it's either going to go straight across. You can't pick and choose what you want. It's not a menu, right? It's not like you're going into a menu, a restaurant, like, hey, can I get this and can I substitute it with that? No, it goes straight across. But here's the big but. Is this by you or by the government now? They're going to look at different ways to crack down on certain things, right? Is that infringing on our rights now? Again, I want to know what your thoughts are on that, right? Is the system broken, or is it just an intentional silence? These are the things we got to think about. That's why we have the reaction radar. I spark you guys, get your thoughts, get you thinking, feedback to me, and the engagement conversation goes on. Let me know what you think. You know? Do you think they dropped the ball on this one? Or is this part of something bigger? Until we meet the next time, please stay informed and engage. Also, remember to like, share, subscribe. Until next time, be safe.